Alright guys, I'm here in Casper. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in Casper, Wyoming, and let me go stand behind my truck. Maybe you can hear me better. Maybe. Block the wind at least. There we go, that's a little bit better. So I'm here in Casper, Wyoming, and I'm going to take you to the National Historic Trails Interpretive Center. It's pretty involved and a lot of details in there, and so you might need to come back and do it on your own. You probably will. I'm not going to show you everything. I'll just kind of give you a hint of what's in there, and you can stop on your own someday. Okay? See ya. Got this cool statue out front. Pretty big. Take a long time to make that if you're carving out of clay and such. I don't know if they make them actual size or not. Kind of be interesting to Google that and find out how an artist makes it. Looks like they did. Here's your scrapings and stuff, maybe. A lot of cool detail in that. Out in front of the National Historic Trails. There's the building. Alright, so here's the entrance. It's kind of cool out here. They have, might be windy out here, so apologize for the noise. But this is Casper. Casper in April. Most of their snow is melting off the mountains there. Good sized city. So that's looking east, southeast. That's looking south. And the Oregon Trail came through, and then I think it angled out that way. And that's the way the highway goes, at least, to Independence Rock and all that. So I'm pretty sure it cut through the gap over there, or right through there somewhere. And then that's going west. Alrighty.
Pretty California to strike it rich. But whatever their final destination, their paths converged here, in what is now known as Casper, for the final crossing of the North Platte River. And while the thousands that walked and rode the Western Trail were bound by their own destiny, they all endured the common experience of the journey itself. The promise of better land was often overshadowed by the hardships, monotony, and death along the trail. The paths the pioneers followed were not new. For thousands of years, Indians had worn trails alongside the Platte and through the mountains for trade and subsistence.
I'm sure they're all different sizes. Press pause and read that. Press pause and read that. Press pause. Read that. Jockey box, axle, iron ski, tongue. It's pretty cool. So they rode inside. Wheel hub. There's a brake. If you're going uphill, going downhill, you probably want to have a brake to slow your descent. Toolbox on the side, looks like. inside, carry all your gear. Carry water, maybe, or grease for the hubs. I had to grease those so they didn't wear out. Here's your brake lever. So here's the trail across Wyoming. You can see all the towns here. Modern towns: Gillette, Sheridan, Cody, Jackson, Cheyenne's down here, Laramie, Rollins, Evanston. So the trail cut across kind of the south central. Came across here, up past Douglas, Casper, where we are now. Then across and started angling down towards Evanston. There's a Lander, something called the Lander Cutoff. It came up, there's Lander right there. But it came up through Star Valley somewhere. Can't remember at what angle. I think it came up through here. But this is where I live, over in Afton in Star Valley. So, kind of interesting. They've got a library in here. They've got all kinds of cool interpretive exhibits. You can touch stuff and press buttons and play things. And then they have these cool exhibits, recreations of the travelers and so forth. So anyway, it's a cool place to come visit. It's a stagecoach.
Let's go. We got a 10-mile run ahead of us.
You guys riding the stage?
It's a video.
How would you like to ride in this thing for mile after mile across the...
I think that would suck.
They have some cool artwork throughout here too. There's some bronze eagle. It's like a pheasant and some type of hawk. There's a bull elk. Here's a bear and a caribou. That's actually what the title is too. Here's some, those look like doll sheep. Yep, doll rams. That's kind of cool. I like how that leg is hanging off the cliff there, just like that. Pretty cool. So, all kinds of information about the settlers that passed along the trails going to California and Arizona and Utah and Oregon. Not Arizona, sorry, I meant Oregon, not Arizona. Accidents, a lot of people died along the way. It's kind of sad. This is kind of interesting how they calculated their miles. You can press pause and read that. And then you can press pause and read that if you want. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but this is a calculation of the number of miles from different points along the way. Here's how this guy, William Clayton, who it looks like was a Mormon pioneer that went to Salt Lake City, across the trail, invented this calculator, or odometer, a calculator of miles. So this odometer clicked away and allowed them to It's kind of interesting. How would you like to count? Walk along day after day, month after month, counting. It'd give you a headache, I think. I'd start daydreaming and forget, and then they get mad at me. But here's kind of a recreation of this odometer, I guess. Trying to get a good angle of it. Please turn the wheel slowly. So, there it goes. So you can see every time it revolves around, it catches it and turns it, and then I guess that in turn turns this. You can't see it because it would take quite a few revolutions to turn those gears, but that's how they counted the miles.
This one doesn't turn.
Everybody ready? I've been back and forth a time or two today, and I think it's okay. Of course, with this river, you just never know. Wagons tip over and people fall out. You know how to swim, don't you? Listen, I'm gonna go get the other wagons ready. When you're ready, pull that gate shut. You ready yet? Well, pull that gate shut. Ladies?
Kind of cool. So the whole thing's bouncing and moving. You're watching the screen and it feels like you're crossing the river.
You see the water coming, Major? That's right. Stand out here, we can't see. Just stay down. No matter what happens, don't stand up. With all the rain we've had, the river's running. I'd swear. Something floats down the river, runs into the wagon. Just keep you sitting. This river was any higher, we'd be spending another couple of nights on that side. Who knows how long? Look, nothing's gonna happen. But if anything does, just stay in the wagon.
Don't jump out. Pretty fun.
Get a move on. We got wagons coming through. Watch it. No matter what happens.
This exhibit in here is about the mountain men. It's kind of cool. If you come and visit, they have some cool artwork here. It's a rifle with a cool leather slip cover, feathers and stuff. It's got his snowshoes on. You can push buttons here and listen to interesting things about these explorers. Some more artwork. These bronze statues, pretty cool. Some pretty fine detail there, that thin rod. And the detail work on that gun too. Get tiny. Pretty cool. Another explorer. We got a beaver hide here. This is what they do. They trap a lot of beaver. But the hide is so soft. It's probably the softest hide I've ever felt of an animal hide. I don't know that I'd ever felt a beaver hide before, but it's really soft. It's like softer than any carpet you've ever had in your house. It's just really thick and plush. What's that? This? I would assume it's probably a dog, but might have bred. Might be kind of half wolf, half dog. I think they did that sometimes up in the northern country. There's a Native American with that buffalo or deer or elk hide clothing, and I think they call this a travois, which is a French word. Travois, travois. But you take, some of them are really big, but this is just 2 sticks or 2 branches, sometimes split, sometimes 2, and then bound together at the top, some type of pad for a drag. And then they bundle use some cross sticks and then bundle their possessions on it and just drag it. So, drag it where they need to go. We have a bunch of these cool things where you can come in and pull out and read about different animals. Pronounced travois. So there you go. It's kind of fun. Looks like they use dogs as well. Cool. Bronze. Looks like grizzly bear claws necklace. It's kind of cool. Nice artwork. And they have some ancient native peoples information back in here too. There's a buffalo hide. They said we could touch these things, so hopefully that's alright. It's not as soft as a beaver, but it's really thick. Really thick. That would keep you pretty warm. The upper mane around the head and the neck, it's all long and kind of natty. They have some information on how they used the buffalo on the plains before we wiped them out. There used to be tens of millions of buffalo everywhere. From Washington to Mexico, all the way up into Alaska and the Canadian territories, all the way across to the East Coast and Florida. There were just tens of millions of buffalo. They have some other cool stuff like these things here. They have information on the front. How did Lakota people get salt? Because salt was, we have to have it in our diet. And so salt was worth more than gold in many parts of the world for a long time, because you had to have it to survive. We just have it naturally in our foods because we eat so much processed and preserved foods. It's just kind of in there. They traded. So they'd come down here and you can read this. So, natives traded. They have all kinds of information on necklaces and copper and horses. And you can come in here and just spend hours if you want to and get information about the people that came across the trails and the native peoples before. From here is the Independence Rock, and I took you on a field trip there. So I think it's an hour or so from here. And on top of that big domed rock are all these etchings of travelers, and they've recreated some of them here. It's kind of cool. But all of these are, I believe they're recreations of what's on Independence Rock. If you climb up on top of it, that's where most of the carvings are. So, but they've done it pretty cool here. It makes it look like it's like they cut the stone out and brought it here from there, but they did not do that. They just recreated it. It's pretty awesome. Some cool artwork. Caribou and wolves. We don't really have caribou in the lower 48 anymore. I think there's a few that trickle into Montana from, or Idaho and Montana from Canada, but they're all up in Canada and Alaska now. They got a cool gift shop and stuff and more artwork, so anyway, thanks for coming on this field trip. Hope you enjoyed it. Come and stop by here in Casper. It's right at the crossroads of, if you're coming through I-25, or if you're cutting across from Shoshone and Riverton. It's right here at that junction. So, cool place. I've passed by it a whole bunch of times, never stopped here. It's free too.